Hope Co Studios in Oklahoma City, this is an OSU Sports Update with Brandon Chapman. I'm Jenny Carlson. Brandon, obviously big news last night. Oklahoma State finds out their NCAA Tournament fate. Not the best news, but not the worst news. A 7 seed playing Georgia Tech. What was your reaction to the announcement?
A 7 seed, that was about where I kind of expected the Cowboys to be. It's a decent seed. It's the matchup that kind of makes me worry a little bit because Georgia Tech is a tough team. They have a lot of talent. They have a big guy in Derek Favors that everybody's talking about is going to be an NBA guy. So that's not exactly the best matchup for a Cowboys team that's not exactly real huge up front.
Well, obviously Georgia Tech's a 10 seed for a reason despite all their height. They've lost some games this year. Let's say the seed holds and Oklahoma State wins that game. What's a best case scenario in your mind for this team? Could they be a Sweet 16 team? Better, worse? What's your feeling about OSU as they head down the road?
I'd say a Sweet 16 is definitely a possibility because we all know what happens if the Cowboys are shooting the ball well. The Cowboys are shooting the ball well, Keaton's shooting well, James Anderson's shooting well. That team is extremely difficult to beat. But you're going against most likely Ohio State, which might have the best player in the country in Evan Turner. So he's obviously a huge matchup problem. And I think the big problem he presents for Oklahoma State is you might have to put James Anderson on him. You put James Anderson on him, it's a situation where James might get into foul trouble. So that just really creates all kinds of problems for the Cowboys. But nonetheless, if they're able to shoot the basketball, they can beat anybody.
Well, we'll be watching that, but we're also keeping an eye on spring football in Stillwater. Obviously, a new offensive coordinator in Dana Holgerson coming in and changing things up. What have been your impressions? What have you been hearing about this change in the offense this spring?
Well, the first thing you hear is just how laid back Dana is. That's what everybody talks about, just how laid back he is. But at the same time, he's starting to install the offense and he's starting to point to the things that he really needs them to do to be successful. For example, the quarterbacks, they're going through a lot of footwork drills, just a lot of drills to make sure they have good feet and they're able to get the ball out quickly because that's a huge key in this offense. So that's what they're kind of doing right now, just setting the framework and the foundation for getting this offense installed and up and going.
So they have a laid-back offensive coordinator now to go with their laid-back defensive coordinator. Bill Young obviously working through some things too with his defense. Not a first year anymore, not installing this thing. But how's the defense coming along this spring?
He's excited about what he has, but obviously he lost a lot of talented seniors and a lot of leadership, lost 3 linebackers, but he still feels pretty good about that linebacker position. He feels like they have some athletes at the position. It's just a matter of getting some experience. And then obviously at the safety position, you have a guy like Markel Martin, which just really helps you to have a guy who potentially could be an NFL draft pick and could be one of the best defenders in the Big 12. That's a good place to start for their defense.
All right, thanks, Brandon. Stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.